reach out to the venues that you want to do these shoots at and get everybody on board so that you're going to feel so productive and so ahead of the game so that when
Hey everyone, happy Thursday. We made it to Thursday, and I did remember what day it was today. So small victories, right? I'm gonna take them as they come. I hope you guys are having a great week so far. We are going to have Shannon Wellington. Hey there. Shannon Wellington from Shannon Wellington Weddings coming on. She was part of our bridal masterclass experience in Philly, and she had led one of the breakout sessions that we had talking about styled shoots. And so I wanted to have her come on and kind of chat a little bit about inspiration. Obviously, now is the time when we have a little bit more time, maybe than normal, to be thinking about, creating and designing and what exactly we're going to be, kind of doing with all of these weddings that are being postponed, and some of them are going to be changed and some of them are going to be the same, but really thinking about how we can kind of up our game. Here she is. How we can up our game and really, here we go. And really kind of use this time to, to be creative, one, to help our clients, but also our own souls. Hey, how are you
hey Megan, how
doing?
are you?
Good. So good to see you.
You too. I know, last
How have
time
you,
I saw you we went on lockdown right after. So
I seriously, I know it seems like, I don't know. And I keep saying this, but it seems like it was yesterday and like forever ago, all at the same time.
I know it's crazy, but we're staying busy. We are fairly busy. We're booking new clients and working from home, but that's
Right?
nothing new. So
Right. So, in terms of like a lot of your clients, I mean, obviously you're adding on more clients as well for
Mhm.
2021. How are you handling kind of the onslaught of the new wedding inquiries? And then also when couples are like, we want to pick our date, and if those dates conflict with someone that
Yeah,
you'd already booked.
that is tough. I've had all of my weddings through July um, postponed. Luckily, they've all postponed. None have canceled on me, which I think is great.
Yep.
I'd say, maybe, half of them move to later this year, which again, I think is great. I think, in some states, and I work in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware, so they've all got different laws. In some states we'll be able to kind of continue, hopefully. Others we might not. But then we're, moving into next year, and everybody wants a Saturday, everybody says Friday weddings and Thursday weddings, but everybody wants a Saturday. And I'm taking this time to, you know, move dates with no fees and no changes and just kind of moving everything over. You want a Saturday next year, you can, if it's available, you can have it.
Right.
And so when new clients are coming along, at this point, we were still kind of open enough where I haven't had to turn anybody away. And I do have a small team that, we can take on more than one wedding in a weekend, luckily. But, we're just going to make it work.
Right.
I'm kind of like, I'm not a worrier. Let's keep our head down and focus and keep going. It'll work itself out, hopefully.
Right. Well, and I think that's what's really important is because those are the types of pros and businesses that are really going to come out on top because it's like, I'm happy to make it work. We're going to figure out a way to make it work for everyone.
Hmm.
And
I want to be a positive force in their life right now. I don't want to be somebody that's making them sad or or more upset. Yes, loss of income stinks for everybody in the industry. Um, but I like to think that we have a strong business and we'll make it through. I can't.
right,
Failure is not an option.
right, right.
So that's kind of what I'm going with.
I love it.
Yeah.
And I mean, one of the things that you had talked about at the Bridal Masterclass experience in Philly was about styled shoots.
Hmm.
Obviously, along with weddings, styled shoots are also on pause.
Yep.
And in terms of, what people should kind of be doing now if they want to be creative and thoughtful and thinking of how they can kind of maybe get ahead of the crazy curve, like once things open up and as long as, it's wide open,
Absolutely.
be crazy. So what should they be doing now if they're really wanting to do more styled shoots or get more content done?
I've been doing a couple different things. One, I have been resting a lot because I feel like there's a weird pressure to do, and produce. But like, we all have limits. And you know what? If you want to take a nap at 3 p.m. and now you can, do it, But I'm kind of, like I said, I'm still working, but obviously schedules have changed. And, my motivation kind of on some days is much higher than others. But on those days, I'm like, you know what the best thing to do is, if you're a wedding vendor, is to talk to other wedding vendors. They will hype you up to get, let's do something, let's plan something cool. All I need to do is talk to Megan from House of Catherine to get my like little like kick in the butt, because she's always ready to go. So you know I had an opportunity to do like a live bridal show on Facebook where we were all just presenting, one after another, going live, which I thought was so cool. And it gave me the opportunity to set a pretty table. I'm literally ordering stuff from Target, picking it up, at the drive up and setting pretty tables, getting some flowers at Trader Joe's when I go grocery shopping and doing it myself. It's keeping me creative. It's giving me a little Instagram content, whether it's, what people pay me the big bucks for. Maybe not, but it's keeping my mind fresh and thinking of things. In terms of styled shoots, I was looking forward to doing one in July at a new venue that was slated to open in the fall, but that probably get pushed back. But, kind of scrolling Instagram, I think people kind of give it a bad rap, but I like to be mindful when I'm scrolling and looking for inspiration and kind of saving things and, getting all of the images that really speak to me. And I just screenshot. And then some days, I go sit on my back deck with a glass of wine and kind of go through all those screenshots. And then, I love, clearly I'm organized. I'm a wedding planner. It's sort of my thing. I like to kind of put them in Pinterest boards and start kind of, okay, these are, table settings and ceremony backdrops, and cool aisle, decor. Just start organizing it. So when it is time to plan a shoot and when I know what I'm working with and I know my vendors and I know the venue, what it's looking like, I can kind of go, okay, I've got a lot of fresh content that I've already pulled. I don't have to waste the time brainstorming and going back and pulling that content. And the same works for real weddings. I'm always inspired and I want to kind of keep track of that inspiration. And it does take me time, for a real wedding to design it. And luckily, now's the time when I can, justify an hour on Instagram and, it's work, honey, it's work, and kind of be organizing my stuff so that I can kind of refer back to it.
That's great. And I think that's so important because, I think sometimes we discount all of the time that we spend, scrolling. And even though scrolling and you're on Instagram, it is work. I mean, you're through to look for inspiration and that takes time. So
it absolutely does.
And you can sit on the deck with a glass of wine and like scroll and save.
Yeah, and feel good about it.
Feel really good about it.
I put in 6 hours today.
A little color, a little not that we're, get tan or get skin cancer or anything, but
right.
Sun is good, a little vitamin D. So I think that those are great suggestions because again, sometimes I think it's like, we want the full on, like this is the order coming from whatever, for the stuff or for the venue or but kind of doing some of the back work in advance while we have time, I think is a great suggestion. For sure.
Putting, I always tell my son, don't put off tomorrow what you can get done today. And I don't follow that all the time myself. But now it's like, it's hard not to, it's hard to have an excuse not to right now. And when, we literally all we have is time. So,
Yeah.
for those of us not working, I'm assuming that's most of us. So,
Right.
yeah.
No, right. And I mean, I think it's so important too, because it's like, whether you're homeschooling and that wasn't part of your normal daily life,
Yep. That's the wine.
but okay, if you would have been working on a wedding, really seeing, like coordinating, whether it was the childcare that you otherwise would have been coordinating, or, figuring out your schedule so that, you're using that time to really work on your business.
Mm-hmm.
I think creative is that's what we do. We're in the wedding industry. But being creative in terms of how we're approaching our own business, I think that's so important.
Absolutely.
So,
and now we have like the time to kind of work in the business and not only on the business, not only for our clients, but on our back end, everything on the back end, and, getting your portfolios up to date and your website galleries updated. And, I have, I've been lucky to be able to keep my assistant, Michelle, on working, because of those new clients that are coming in. But I have her building me albums of, Instagram photos so that I don't have to, when I want to go to post something, I have folders in a drive that have all my favorite images, to kind of just be ready to go.
Yeah.
So just kind of using those time sucking, tasks that we normally put off during this time of year to kind of get them done, and you feel productive.
Right. Well, it is productive.
Yeah.
I think that so great is that there are these really kind of unique and creative ways that we can kind of approach how we're doing our business during this time, normal business time. Getting stuff done, which I think is so cool. Absolutely. And so when things start to open up, obviously, for the most part, even once regulations start to relax, obviously weddings are still a very social, large gathering. In terms of, figuring out, whether it's schedules or styled shoots, what would you say that the most kind of important thing to do when you're organizing those styled shoots? What is that? So like once they have all of their kind of inspiration and ideas and they have their together, what's kind of that next step that they should be doing to kind of get it off the ground and really make good use of that kind of open window that we're going to have,
right,
ask for, but that we can actually have to, so we can be together and shoot?
So I think, just a couple of things before that even happens, before, sometime hopefully this fall that, things do open up is, obviously gather your inspiration. To start reach out to your vendors. They're all sitting at home waiting, and kind of say, this is, what I'm thinking, and, have sort of a Tuesday in November set aside, and reach out to the venues that you want to do these shoots at and get everybody on board so that you're going to feel so productive and so ahead of the game, so that when things do happen, you're like, okay, well, now we're literally just waiting on our date to our date to arrive, or those dates to show up, and then you can schedule it, and then you're like, okay, full steam ahead, let's move forward with this and start finalizing things. And if somebody needs to go do, if you need to go do a venue visit, maybe at that point, you can kind of go see the space and make sure everything works. I hate leaving things up to chance for a styled shoot. So, I like, again, being prepared is always, is always better. So, connecting with everyone beforehand. And then, October seems a little scary to me. The September and October are a little weird right now, because it's like some people are rescheduling to then, some people are rescheduling from then. And it's like, am I going to be busy or am I not? Am I going to be completely empty? Are things going to be open then? Should we schedule it for then? I don't think that's the most important part. I think having a solid vision and your team of vendors nailed down and everybody on board to just kind of, and we're all in the same position. We're all just kind of playing the waiting game. So that, if you have the plan and you have, your specific rentals and your specific linens and, you know, your everything, your tabletop china, your lounges, everything ready to go, you
Yeah.
know, when things open up and you have to work again, you know, work your real weddings, it won't be like, oh my God, I
Right.
have to do all of this on top of
Right.
actually, you know, actual work too. So kind of,
Yeah. You just pull the
we
trigger.
have to be being productive. We have to be productive right now. I mean, you know, whatever that means to you.
Right.
Yeah.
You're totally right because it's different for everyone. So,
Mhm.
you know, thinking about, okay, would I normally be doing 3 or 5 or 10 styled shoots in a year?
Mhm.
You know, fit in, what are the ideas that I have, what vendor teams, who are the vendors that I want to work with,
Mhm.
and that time to really reach out to them and really get things on board so that it's all set, so that
Yeah.
you know exactly what rentals you're going to use, and you know which tabletop items, and you know which
Yeah.
all of that. I think that's really really important for sure. There was a question, what software you like to use to post on social? Do you use a scheduling software? Or do you
I
post?
don't. I don't. I fly by the seat of my pants on the gram. um, and I don't like, you know, I let I let my team, you know, I try Michelle, my right hand girl. She does a lot of the back end stuff for me, but that the gram is my personality and it's my voice, and I just kind of scroll through. She makes me that drive of photos. I scroll through, see what, you know, what I'm feeling that day, what I want to say, what kind of goes with that.
Yep.
You know, so I just kind of, I know there's like the Planoly's, and as a planner, I should probably use those, but I don't.
Well, it's important because I think that, you know, you have to know one yourself,
Hmm.
and then also you have to know, you know, who are the people that are going to be looking at your Instagram.
Hmm.
And so when it's really your ideal client and it needs to be you speaking to them, sometimes, especially now,
Hmm.
off of a scheduler is a better option because things are changing hourly, you
Right.
know, minute
And,
sometimes. And
and, you know, yeah, I'm definitely, you know, someone who's not just kind of throwing up an inspirational quote. I try to be witty and, you know, and a little, you know, but also informative and, you know, and I very much care what my feed looks like. So, you know, but also if I can't think of something, I'm not going to try too hard. I'll skip that day. I'm not a great Instagrammer according to the rules. I don't play the Instagram rules. I don't put my face on there every 9 spaces. I don't, you know, follow a schedule and pay attention to when people are on. I just kind of, I'm like, okay, well, I did homeschool today. I took a shower maybe. Okay, let me try to Instagram something real quick, and then I'll do some work. You know, it's very like on the fly. So
I love it.
you got to do what works for you. You know, and it does. It works for me, and I'm just fine. Kind of. How often do I post? I try to do once a day, but like I said, if I'm not feeling it, it's not going to happen, and
Yeah.
that's okay.
And I think that, like I said, I think especially now it's really important. So overall, I think doing once a day, you know, obviously look at your, that's great.
Analytics. Yeah.
DW Videography says that they also post once a day.
Hmm.
Posting and doing it in a time frame that works well for two things. One is your hashtags that you like to use,
Hmm.
your audience. When is your audience going to be most different? And that can be different now. So make sure that you're actually looking at your insights because it might have changed. Whereas, like before, if they were busier during the day or busier in the evenings, and then, you know, they had more time during the day because the kids were in school, maybe
Hmm.
that now and they are on Instagram later. You need to kind of know that. And again, really be aware of what's going on with that. I
Right.
mean, Instagram community. So you really need to know what's, you know, figuring that out. So what are the best times? The best times to post if you go on to your insights. So if you don't already, you want to have a business account. And so
Hmm.
make sure you transfer that over to a business, your personal to a business account. At the top right corner, you can actually find out, you know, go to your insights for your business account, and it's going to tell you the best times that your audience, your followers are going to be on Instagram. It's going to tell you by day, and then it'll have like the hours. It also, for each post, you can check the hashtags. Do you use a lot of hashtags, Shannon?
I do. I kind of go back through and add them in there. Absolutely. And they work. And Hashtags and geotags. I'm huge on
Yeah.
geotags. So
Yes, geotags are really important, especially when you're trying to target like your ideal client who's living in Philly or
mhm.
living in
Or
or
specific wedding venues. Mhm.
because people are for posts or vendors or accounts that are
Mhm.
totally fine for the questions. It says, how did you get 15,000 followers? I feel like it's so hard to get followers.
Oh my God, it is. I started my Instagram a long time ago, back when the blogs and things were starting, sound me pretty, maybe not starting, but like really getting popular and things like that. And I hustled. I said yes to everything. And I did a ton of styled shoots and they got published and they would share, and Instagram wasn't as fast and quick as it is right now, where if they posted something of yours, it was like the top post for a while. And so I got a ton of followers, from those publications, and I've just year after year, I'm almost year 9, year after year doing multiple styled shoots, networking, you know, after a while you kind of get known, and I like to think that I pay attention. Like I said, I pay attention to what I post on my feed. If you look at it, I think it's really pretty. um, and I only post the best of what I have. There's many weddings that we might have worked where the photographer's editing style just didn't match my feed. It wasn't kind of natural light. It might have been a little more darker. And I won't post those. I'm not, I want to kind of keep things consistent and draw the eye in so that people know they can come to me for really pretty content. And I think
Right.
that's kind of how you get followers.
Well,
And I'm very kind of real. I'm very real, real on Instagram, very real in real life, open and honest, and all of those great um, adjectives. So that's kind of
you're
it
very
is.
real.
It's so hard, and I think every year it gets harder to get more. And my following, the number has slowed down a lot over the past couple of years, just because there's so many accounts. And if
Yeah.
you can't keep them hooked,
Yeah.
unfollow.
Yeah.
So it's
Um,
tough though.
I want to ask, would you offer a free sample shoot? And I'm not sure if you mean like a free styled shoot to increase booking. So most of the time styled shoots you're not paid. You're doing it, back in the day, we called it TFP because we actually got actual printed photos that we would put full album that shows how old I am. But it's when you're doing a styled shoot, you're doing it for the content because that content is your marketing, you know, for your business. It's showing, what you can do, possibly what you want to do. So if you want to do something more of or more like, but you don't necessarily have a client that's booking that, having the photos gives you something to be like, this is what I'm talking about. This is what we would do to make it bigger or,
Right.
smaller or whatever the case is. Because otherwise you just have what your clients are showing. And so, in terms of that, about how many styled shoots a year would you say that you normally do?
Now it's probably two. I say yes. A lot of people ask me, and I'm like, I don't need to do any more. I'm just going to focus. And then I'm like, oh, I love you guys. Oh, okay, yeah. So maybe 2 to 3. I think the magic word for working with people, and kind of getting people to do the shoots for free is collaboration.
Yep.
When you say, I would like to collaborate with you, to me, that means I want you to do this for free. I'm doing it for free. We're
Right.
all doing it for free. I don't always agree with doing it for free. I think everybody should kind of kick in some money, maybe for flowers, because they cost a lot. Being best friends with a wedding florist gives me a lot of a lot of inside scoop.
It's really, really expensive. I'd say that
Yeah.
the expense for any styled shoot is definitely going to be your florals.
Mm-hmm.
Hands down. That's
Yeah.
just, that
And
is,
there's things, even if a company is willing to, have things brought, rentals, things like that, there are delivery fees and they
yeah,
add up. And when a shoot goes and gets published and
Right.
everybody gets credited. We are all equal.
Yeah.
It doesn't say, the florist put $1,000 into this and, so and so showed up with their, this or that. And so I think it's nice to kind of, for people who are looking to do shoots or kind of more starting out, I think kind of saying, I'll chip in for
Yeah.
whatever, or what can I kind of help pay for is like,
Right.
yes, thank you. We're all getting the same amount of publication out of this. Let's kind of, and it shouldn't just be the planner or be the florist or be the, whoever that's
Right.
really spending the big bucks to make it happen.
That's a really good point.
I think I
And
got off track there, but
you're fine. Another question was, so what I'm asking is to increase bookings. What are some of your best tactics? So, kind of when you were starting out, what was something that you did to help increase the number of bookings? Because I think one of the things, when you're starting out or even in times like these,
mm-hmm.
it can be a little bit difficult.
Yep.
For people to either, because their normal habits of how they would find you are not the same. It's
Right.
not what
We have to rely on a few things. One, how especially when I was kind of first starting out, I've gone through periods of this where I said yes to everything. When I first started, do you want to do this? Do you want to come to this? Do you want to provide this for free for this? Yes, I do. Do you want to do this or that? And of course I thought about it. And does this make sense for my business? I look back now and I'm like, maybe not all of them did, but I said yes. I got out there. I got my name out there. But what happened was, 4 years after starting my business, I rebranded. I changed my name I had a fictitious name and now I changed it to my actual name. I had to do it all over again, and now I had to get this name out there, and so I said yes to everything. I sent press releases, to the magazines and things, just to kind of get my actual name out there. The best, where everybody says, referrals, networking, obviously we're not going to like the traditional cocktail parties with our business cards. I'm not sure. I know there's people that still do that. I don't do that. I like when there's if there's a party with like an open bar and, enough of my friends are going, I'll go. But networking and styled shoots are the best for networking. Because you're really seeing how people work. When my goal on the day of a styled shoot is to show these other vendors, look how organized I am. Look how beautiful this is. Look what I can do. I can do this for this shoot and I can do this in real life. This is how I work and how I treat the vendors and how I treat the venues and things like that. I want to make sure that I'm not, miserable and I'm not leaving a giant mess behind, and things like that. Kind of being on is a great way for people to get to know you and like, okay, oh, Shannon Wellington, I've heard of her. She's been doing this a long time, because I have, and I like to think that, I produced a beautiful shoot with them or I worked with a real wedding with them and they're going to refer me. Because I mentioned my best friend who's, a wedding florist. She did the very first wedding I ever planned. And of course I was like nervous as heck. And she comes in, it's Sue from Fresh Designs, who was at Bridal Masterclass. And so my very first wedding, I found her and I'm like, oh, like she's so amazing. She's been doing it forever. And she, we tell it the same way. I'm like, hitched my wagon to hers. And she's like, no, I hitched my wagon to yours. She's like, you're going to be famous someday. And I'm like, okay. But we've built this great friendship, but a great business relationship where if I can work with her, I really want to. And if she can send, she sends me whoever she possibly can. And from day one, I've booked. And then she got me into venues, that she was on their list already. And so, if she gives her word, about me, they believed her and trusted her. So, that's kind of how I got the ball rolling.
Right. It says, we don't have styled shoots. What are they? So styled shoots are photo shoots, essentially. So you're doing a photo shoot of what the elements of a regular wedding. So you'd have a tablescape, you have a ceremony area, you oftentimes would have models, you'd shoot the details, you'd have obviously a photographer with models, you have hair and makeup, obviously a planner, you do rentals, so you might have like whether it's for the ceremony or you're doing a lounge area. And style shoots are often for additional content for wedding blogs, publications like, The Knot and Style Me Pretty. And so sometimes they'll be published in an actual print magazine, and sometimes it'll just be online, but they'll have everybody listed, linked, and
the links are the most important.
Yeah. And it serves as inspiration for couples. So couples can look at that and be like, oh, I love that. I've never seen anything like that before. Who did that? And then they can look and see, oh, Shannon Wellington did that. I definitely checked her. Let me look at her profile. Let me look at her website. And then, they can fall in love with everything else that's there. So it's a nice kind of gateway for you to be able to show what you can do and get in front of couples that, Style Me Pretty already is in front of, or The Knot's already in front of. So that's kind of what styled shoots, the same for filmmakers. Yeah, we have, absolutely. There's video for styled shoots, and it's gorgeous. If you haven't already, if you on our feed, you'll see videos. And actually, if you go to our Instagram, our IGTV, you'll see some of the styled shoot videos that are posted, and it's gorgeous. It's the same type of kind of mashup that you would get if it was a wedding. Obviously, it's not quite as extensive. It's not a wedding, but you get all the elements and you can kind of see them, quote unquote, in real life. So absolutely, for filmmakers, it's a great opportunity. In terms of doing this for 4 years, part-time, done less than 20 weddings. Yeah. So, it's a great opportunity to get additional content. So it's, if you're doing your wedding business as a side hustle and it's something that you're trying to, obviously get more content, more clients from, styled shoots definitely help with that. And I love what you were saying, Shannon, in terms of saying yes to everything, because I think one of the most underrated things to do in order to build your business is to literally say yes to just about everything, because you never know who you're going to meet, who you're going to work with, what type of content's going to come out of that. It could be published. You just don't know. And so being open to opportunities, I think, is probably one of the most important things, because once you start to get to know a lot of people and they know you because you're there on set, that makes a huge difference, because then they're like, oh yeah, I know she's great, or she's the most organized planner I know. All of those things I think are so important, because otherwise you're just photos, you're just a name. So if you can actually get in touch in front of these people, that's gold. Why would you not? Right. Why would you not want to do?
Yeah.
Because in terms of and now obviously you were saying you do a few styled shoots every year. In terms of, kind of the shoots that you do, are they normally with the same types of vendors that you normally work with, or are they normally with new vendors that you haven't worked with before?
I would say that the majority of the vendors are somebody that I've worked with before. However, I like to spread the love, with styled shoots, with real weddings, I like to spread the love around. It depends on what the style is. I like to think that I've kind of got my different, stationers. You've got your House of Catherine for this kind of style, and you've got somebody else for this kind of style. Fresh Designs Flowers is your everything. You can do them all. And different photographers, like I said, I have my preferred editing style. So I'm going to kind of ask those photographers that produce that. And I think, one thing that we might not have mentioned about the benefit of these styled shoots is that this content is the best of the best.
Right.
There's no budgets. There's no client budgets. There's no client limitations or opinions. It's what do I want to do? How do I want to be creative? And I can set a table for 6 that looks insane, and if a client, chooses to go for that, awesome. But it's supposed to be inspirational. It may not mean, this is for everybody. Not everybody's renting every piece, of china on their table and linens and all the things, so it's meant, but if you're doing film and photography, the hair and makeup is great, everything is on point, versus a real wedding where you're dealing with real people, real budgets, real venues, real timelines. The shoot day, you can relax and get the shot that you want to get without, the wedding planner chasing you down saying, sorry, it's almost dinner. So I think do we know many people in the UK? No,
Yes.
I don't.
So for the bridal masterclass, we actually go to the UK and we work with a few different companies through Ocean Media, and so you can absolutely DM us later, and we can give you some more information about our contacts in the UK and all the cool things that they're doing. There's tons of wonderful shoots that are going on in the UK, so yeah, you definitely want to kind of jump on board with some of those, because it, like Shannon was saying, it makes a huge difference in terms of who you're connecting with and who you're able to, one, get referred work, be referred, but also to refer work too. Because I think it's definitely, one of those things that you need a network when you're working in the wedding industry. So Ocean Media, it's a parent company, and they own, so like we do London Bridal Fashion Week, Harrogate Bridal Fashion Week. So they own Confetti, and the National Wedding Show, I believe, is the technical name of the show in the UK as well. So they're a really large media company in the UK. But like I said, just DM me later and we can give you that information for sure. But I mean, I think it's definitely one of those things where when you have those relationships, you start out, because again, otherwise you just have the photos. So like, yes, I can look through your Instagram and love all of the photos that you have. I love them all. But the other thing is, if you're like, that's great, but someone else has photos that are just as great, what's the thing that's really differentiated? What's that thing that's going to make them want Shannon? Well, it's Shannon. If you don't know Shannon, then it's like, okay. There's no personality, there's like connection.
Right.
So I think it's important too, like exactly what you were saying, because if you haven't made that connection, why would they want, like, what reason do they want to refer you any work?
Yeah. If you're blah, a wedding day, it's work. It's work for us, and I want my coworkers to be fun. So, and be appreciative and not annoying, and, and that I can kind of have fun with that day and have a good working relationship.
Right. Exactly. Because if they're making it worse or, frustrating you, that's the last thing that you're going to want or need on the wedding day.
It's a good tryout, if I were to, ask a different florist or stationer or somebody, okay, well, here's our inspiration board, here's everything we want for the shoot, and they show up and it looks completely different, or it's not really the style, which has happened. Well, now I know I definitely don't want this for a real wedding. I can't imagine how that would turn out. I kind of have to grin and bear it for a styled shoot, but for a wedding, it's like, no, that's not, going to happen. That's not going to fly.
No. Oh, Tabitha just joined. Hey, Tabitha. So one of the things, so if that does happen, what are your best tips to save or salvage
a shoot? It's stuff has happened. Things show up. My biggest, again, kind of over prepare. For things like linens, a lot of times I like to choose 2 different colors, having 2 different color napkins, having options. You'll see me, the day before a styled shoot, I'm doing my trip, Home Goods, Target, Anthro. I'm lucky enough to live near terrain. I'm hitting everything, all my beautiful Home Goods things. And I'll spend maybe $300-400 on stuff. Right. So that I can have options. I'm going to buy multiple colors of candles and things like that. And yes, I return a lot of it if it's unused. I buy enough. I feel like, I'm like, I'm okay with it.
You're buying it because it's a I don't know. It's the same thing like if you bought something for your home and it doesn't match, you're going to take
Yeah.
it back.
Exactly. Like interior designers do it all the time. They buy options, they buy 30 throw pillows and bring it to their client's house and see what works.
Yep.
And so I always like to have options so that if the flowers aren't the right shade of what I thought, or something, the light in the venue is weird, or anything, something is not turning out the way I wanted it to, I'm going to do my best and work with what I have, but hopefully I have enough to make something awesome.
So we have two questions. One is, do style shoots have a cost? And yes. So we talked a little bit about it before. You can always go back and watch our live afterwards. We'll have it in our IGTV. So in terms of the style shoots, they do have a cost. The biggest cost really has to do with florals and rentals. Those are like the two main large kind of cost things that you need to be aware of. Florals can be anywhere from $2,000 to $20,000. It really depends on the shoot. And then rent, it's the same thing. So it depends on where you're getting your rentals from, how far they have to travel for the delivery cost. It could be a couple hundred, it could be a couple thousand. So you, again, kind of managing your costs as best as possible. And then
It's
making
an investment.
It's totally
it's a
an
marketing investment. This is, I stopped, placing ads in some magazines, and I spend that money, on a shoot. I'm doing the same exact thing, and I'm getting different results, but I'm getting results.
And I think that's important because a lot of people aren't really, they're not necessarily thinking of it as a marketing investment. They just think of it as like a cost. And you're hoping for a return on your investment, just like anything else in your business. If you're putting that money for a reason, it's to show and provide images of something that maybe you're not going to get from just a regular wedding that you would have done. So I think that's important. Definitely important to know. Another question. So scenario, if you're at a wedding fair meeting a potential couple, how do you better your chances to increase your chance of booking with them? So like, for instance, you did the virtual wedding fair, right?
Yep.
What things that you do to boost your chances of couples being like, I need Shannon.
I want to reach out to her. One thing that the organizer did, which I thought was great, was to have us all come up with a prize, a giveaway. And that really kind of gets the inquiries coming in. I gave away one of those really cute, the curated gift boxes with val books and candles and pens and things like that. I gave away one of those, and I thought that was really great to kind of get people giving me their email address, and but I rely a lot on my personality. I rely a lot on being, hopefully, trying to engage with them and being very real and open and honest. And, because I think that's what you want in a wedding planner. You want somebody who, can keep calm and also kind of make you smile. And it's a wedding planning is typically a long process. We're going to be together, for a year and a half. It should be fun. And I want to kind of make sure they know that. And so I think kind of being engaging and being yourself, and luckily that works for me because I am pretty outgoing and comfortable talking to people. I think if you're, a different kind of vendor, a photographer, obviously you're using, photos and things like that to kind of market yourself. But I think really focusing on yourself, a photo is a dime a dozen. If you picture yourself walking through a wedding fair and there's albums on a table or framed photos, you're like, oh, that's pretty. And you have no idea who that vendor is once you walk away. You have to talk to them and engage with them and make yourself memorable, because it's all you. I can't really even I could show some pictures of a wedding at a wedding fair, but like, I don't have a product. I don't have a product to sit here and try to sell to you. It's me. I'm selling myself. And I think all
Right,
of
right.
us in this industry really are, selling ourselves.
And, I mean, I think it's really important to note that one of the things that millennials want is they want to know who it is that's behind the product or service. They don't just
Hmm.
want a product. It's not like back in the day, and for the example of like video, you bribe them with lollipops. So it's not just like back in the day with video where it's like, oh, Uncle Joe can take the video and he just puts it on his shoulder.
Right.
No, it's, your editing style makes a difference. How you
Hmm.
interact with to get the right types of shots and their reactions. Obviously you can't be everywhere at once. So, who are your assistants? How do they interact? Are they invasive or not?
Hmm.
All of those big difference. And again, if they don't know who you are, it's really hard for them to be like, yeah, I really want you over someone else.
Hmm.
Personality is one of the huge differentiating factors. But if you don't know who your ideal client is, that makes it even harder for you to really target, whether you're at a wedding fair or it's on Instagram. You need to know who that ideal client is so that all of your marketing, your whole brand voice, all of the images you choose, the videos you choose, that it all speaks to that ideal client. And I think that's exactly what you're talking about before, how it's like, doesn't mean that you're not going to take a client whose photographer doesn't match your brand.
Hmm.
It just means that you might not be posting all of those photos.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So I think that's an important differentiating factor in terms of like styled shoots and what you're using them for. Because
Hmm.
just because you have a client that might not be your ideal client, that doesn't mean that, again, you're going to want to post everything about that wedding on your Instagram or put it on your website if that's not who you want to attract again. It doesn't
Right.
mean
You
that you
have to
didn't take.
put out what you want to kind of get back. Absolutely.
Exactly. Exactly. Awesome. And that's the hardest part. Totally.
Yes.
You
None
have,
of this is
like,
easy. None
I
of it.
know, right? But
It's
if
work,
you guys have
right?
to do that, we do have a free worksheet that we're happy to send you as well to figure out your ideal client. So you can DM us, send us your email, and we'll send it out to you guys. But Shannon, thank you so much for coming on, because I think, again, style shoots are one of those things that, and it was one of the reasons why, so much of the masterclass experience was really about figuring out how to create that content, because right now more than ever, wedding professionals have to be able to create content on their own.
Hmm.
And how to do that through a styled shoot, they're like 50 steps behind everyone else. And the last
Hmm.
thing that you do is like make it hard. And we just done saying how hard it is. You don't want to
Yep.
make it harder. We want to make it easy.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much for all of those tips, because I
Absolutely.
hope
Thank you for having me. This was so fun. Anytime.
you know. I know, absolutely. So you can find Shannon. So it's at Shannon Wellington Weddings
Hmm.
on Insta.
Yep.
And is your Facebook name as well?
Yep. It's all the same. And then shannonwellington.com. You can find me
Oh,
everywhere. Yeah.
you can find her. I love it. Well, thanks so
Thank you,
much for
Megan. You
talk to you
too.
soon.
Thank you.